Hi guys, now that we are done with the form validation, it is now time for us to create a login page for our user management system. The first thing that we're going to do is to create a login form for our user management system. To do that, we need first to create a new link for our user login. So we need to create a new method for our login, and also we need to create another method for our login validation. Now that we have the new links for our user login, the next thing that we're going to do is to create a new form for our login. So in the views, we need to create a new form. Let us name it login underscore page underscore view.php. Okay, then I think we can copy the other forms. So let's go to the registration page view. Let us copy this. And let us just edit some part of this code. For example, let us delete the name, username, and let us delete the confirm password. Instead of register, this button should be login. Also, the action should be going to the login validation, not to the register validation. Next, we need to load the view in our login page. So let's copy this one. Let us paste it here. Let us rename the page title to login page. And the name of the view that we are going to load here is the login page view. Now let us try to check if this is working. Users, since the method is login, we need to use the login method. Now we have a login page. If we click that, we will be redirected to the login validation page. But first, let me adjust some part of this view. For example, we need to add a login link in here. So we need to edit the header. Let us go to the partials folder in the views. And in here, let us try to add users login and login link. Okay, let's check. Now we have a login link. Register, login. Okay, now that we have a form, the next thing that we will do is to create a method that will check if the credentials that we have submitted to the validation page is correct. So in this example, we need to create a new method and create a login method. And then inside the method, we need to get the data that is being posted. So we need the username, input, post, and the user name. And of course, we need to add the true for security, and then the password. Of course, the password should be hashed using the SHA-1 because we stored our password last time using the SHA-1. So if we try to find the password that matches with the username, if we do not hash the password, it will be impossible to find the correct account. So we need to hash or encrypt this. And then we need to find the data that has the same username and password. So to do that, we need to create a database query. Get where username is equal to username and password is equal to password, whatever is being posted and being retrieved here. Okay, then we need a variable to handle the query, and then we need to check if we have a match in the database. To do that, we need to get the number of rows. So if our query returns a number of rows, that means there is a matching data from the database. Okay, else do whatever is needed in here, or we can return false in here. That means the login process was not successful. Then we can catch that in our controller. Okay, so if we were able to get the data, the next thing that we will do is to test if we really have a data. So we printf the result just to check if this is correct. We need to load the user model, and then in here let us call the login method. This will automatically print whatever is inside of the result. Okay, let us try to check if this is working. Let us go back to our login page. So let us try to add an invalid password. Let us check again. I think we have an error. Okay, so I forgot to insert the name of the table. So it is needed because we need to insert the name of the table and then the where close. Okay, let's try again. As you can see, there is no result and there was nothing printed because there was nothing to print, meaning we were not able to match the username and the password in the database. So let us try to echo something in here just to check if this really works. So, okay. Now we know that our login is working. Okay, let us try to input something that is correct. And now we have a match with our data. That means we can now proceed to logging in to the system and setting up the session for our system for us to keep track of the users. And also we can use the session to restrict other users that are not logged in. Since we now know that our code is working, we now need to create the real code for this login method. So, since we know that we are getting a single row, we do not need to use the result method. So, row, and we can also use the array. This means that this will return an array form of the user's data. Then let us store it in a variable. Now it is time for us to apply the session. The CodeIgniter has a session library which we can use to handle a session in our application. Okay, the session class permits you to maintain user state and track their activity while they browse your site. So every user that is accessing your website, they have a unique session, and we can use that to track if a user is logged in or not, and we can use the session if this user is restricted to access some part of your website. Now let us try to see how to use the session. Now we have here a code on how to load the session, but in our case, since we will be using session for our entire application, I think it is good if we auto-load the session. All we need to do here is to add a new element and add the session. Okay, next we need to set the session information or to set the user data. To do that, we need to copy this one and paste it here. This code is used for adding some data into your session. So, since in our user we have this information, this one, we can store this information in our session. So first we need to store the name of the user. Since this is an array result, we need to set the index. And then next is for the address. And then the username. Of course, we also need to add a flag which we will be checking if a user is logged in. Which in this case, if we have a number of rows, is logged in is equal to true. Now that we are done with setting up our session, let us go back to the login validation page or the controller method login validation page. In here, we need to add an if statement. Then we need to add this in the condition. What this will do is if the login method returns true, which we need to return here, that means we found a user that matches its username and password. Then automatically we will redirect this user to the users list. Else, if the login is not successful, the user will be redirected to the user's login. Now let us check if this is working. So if I input a correct credential, what we will expect is that we will be redirected to the list of users. Okay, let us click login, and now we were redirected to the users. Now let us check if we input something wrong in our form. I will click login, and we are directed to login page. But before we continue with our tutorial, as you can see, we still have an index.php which is supposed to be cleared already. The reason for that is we did not set the index page to blank. So we need to set this to blank for this to be cleaned up. So let us try again. And now we are redirecting without the index.php. Next that we are going to do is to restrict access to these pages if the user is not logged in, and to hide this one if the user is already logged in. Okay, what we are going to do is here in the user model, we need to add again another method for checking if the user is logged in. All we need to do here is to return whatever is inside the is logged in user data. To do that, we need to retrieve the data. So in this documentation, we have here retrieving the data. So we need to copy this one and paste it here. Then we need to return what is the value of is logged in session. Then let us go back to the pages that we want to restrict. For example, in this page, the all page, this is supposed to be secure and no one should be accessing this page if the user is not logged in. So to do that, we need to use the user model again and then create an if statement in here, and then let us call the is login method. What we will do here is to check if the return of the isLogin method is false, which this one. What this will do is to check if the return of the slogin method is not true or false. So if not login, or if isLogin method returned a false value, we will redirect the user to users/login. This will check if the user is logged in. If the user is not logged in, automatically the user will be redirected to the users logged in page. Okay, let us try to do that. Right now, if I refresh this, we are logged in because last time we were able to log in correctly. So to resolve that, we need to add another function in here. And we need to add a logout method. So what we're going to do here is to destroy the session. So let's just copy this one and paste it here. This code will destroy the whole session that we have created here. Then we need to add another method in here for the logout. And let us copy this one. Instead of login, we will be using logout. And then we will redirect the users to the home page. So this will be users. No need for this. And then let us add the link here for the logout. Let us refresh. There's an error. 19. Okay. We lack the semicolon in here. We have to add the semicolon. Refresh again. If we click logout, we are expecting to be redirected to this page. And we will not be allowed to access this all users page. So let us click logout. I think it is not users. I think this is supposed to be a slash only to be redirected to the base URL, which is supposed to be this one. Now let us try again. Let us click logout. Now we are redirected to the home page. And then let us test if we are still able to access the all users page. Let's click this one. And now we are redirected to the login page because we are not logged in as a user. Let's try again. Because we are not logged in, we are redirected to the login page. If we go to home, we are able to access that. If we go to about, we are able to access. But if you go to the all users, we are not able to access that. Let us log in again. Okay, we are already logged in, but we are still able to access the register page and the login page, which we should not be able to, or we are not supposed to have an access in here because we are already logged in. We do not need to register and we do not need to log in. So what we're going to do is to restrict any login users to access these pages. This is very simple. We just need to copy this one. And then let us go to register. Let us add this and let us redirect the user if the user is logged in, and we need to take off this one. That means if the return is true, the user will be redirected to all users. So we need to delete or take out this apostrophe sign. Same is what we're going to do to the register validation and also to the login page. And another thing, since we are always using the user model, and as you notice, every time we use the model, we need to load the user model. So I think it is much better if we auto-load this. Let us add here the user model and delete every line of this code. Okay, let us try again. Let's refresh, and it is still working. And let us check if what we have added is working. For example, in the login page, we are not supposed to be accessing the login page if we are already logged in. So let us try that. Now we are not able to access these pages. Let me just clean this up. Next, we need to disable access to these pages because even if we are logged out, we are still able to access the edit and profile page. So what we are going to do is very easy. We just need to copy some code. Let us copy this and let us insert it here. Profile and edit. Also in the validation. Now if we try to access this one, since we are not logged in, we will be redirected to the login page. Refresh, login page. All users, since we are not logged in, we will not be able to access that page. Now, I think if we are logged in, we need to hide the login and register link. Since we were not even able to gain access to these pages, might as well hide it so that the user will not be tempted to click on those links. So to do that, we need to go to the header and add an if statement in here. In here, we need to use the model. That means if the user is logged in, but since this is the register and login, we need to add a not sign in here. So that means if the user is not logged in, this menu will show. Then we need to add an else in here and output the logout. So if the user is not logged in, the register and login link will show. Else, if the user is logged in, the logout link will show. So let us try that. We are currently logged in, so the login and register link is not showing. If we log out, the register and login link will show. but the all users list is showing, which is supposed to be hidden because we are not logged in. So what we're going to do is add another if statement. Let us first copy this code. Let us find that all users link in here. If statement, let us move this all users link to this if statement inside of the if statement. Then let us add the isLogin method call. So what this will do is, if the user is logged in, this will show. But if not, nothing will happen. Let us try that again. Let us refresh. What we expect is all users link will not show up. Refresh, and now there is no all users link. Let us try that again. Let us log in. All users link is showing. No login and no register link is showing. Edit, showing. View, showing. And let us check if the delete link is restricted. Oh no. And I think we need to edit the delete link or the delete page. We need to add the delete here. And just to be safe, let us add an exit code there, just to be sure that the code below this will not be executed. I think that is all for login and session. We're able to restrict some user access to certain pages, and we were able to hide some links. And I hope you learned something in this lesson. Thank you.